YouTube channel Colorberry. I am Mrs. Colorberry, and today we are working with resin on some golden metal trays. The thing about metal trays is maybe it happened to you as well, or maybe it will happen. If you buy some metal trays, for example from IKEA, the bottom is very instable, it's very flexible, so the poured resin, the dried resin, can break out. So it's very important if you really use very hard metal trays, and if you want to be safe, just sand the bottom with a sanding paper a little bit so the resin has a better grip on the bottom. Okay, so these two golden trays, and I will use today my new colors of the mineral set and of the forest set in combination with my resin pigment pastes. Before we start, please be aware that your trays, or at least your table, is leveled, because the trays lying directly on the table, so make sure it is leveled, and use gloves. We will also need a heat gun to get rid of the bubbles, and please put it like this on your table. Very, very important. Otherwise, because this gets very hot, otherwise you can burn some products or tables. We need some cups. Let us say I prepare 4 colors. We need some stirring sticks. And of course, we need resin. Generally, this is what a resin chemist told me, that resin which has a mixing ratio 2:1 gets a little bit harder than mixing ratios with 1:1. So I trust this guy. So I'm gonna use today a resin which is 2:1. So I prepared a mixing cup with just a mixing stick, and I put in 200 milliliter resin and 100 milliliter hardener. Okay, so let's mix it. If you mix resin, don't forget about sexy resin. Always smile, because I know it sounds weird to you, but you will think about me. When you do it, the resin will soak up your energy. So always smile, be in a good mood, and mix properly. Don't forget the sides, don't forget the bottom. Yeah, and just listen to some music. So 3 minutes are done. I did some sexy mixing meanwhile. There are air bubbles in the resin, but don't worry about this. We will get rid of them after using either a heat gun or a blowtorch. So let's fill the resin now in the cups. The biggest problem many artists out there, resin artists or beginners or hobby artists or whatever, the biggest problem is always to decide which amount of resin do I need in which color. So I recommend always start with your main color. My main color is dark green. Then the other color I would love to have is some light green or another green. The highlights like white and gold, I always just use a little bit, just a highlight. And the rest of the resin, I will just pour or work with in the trays after I mixed my colors. Okay, so we're gonna start with the dark green from the forest set. It's a dry pigment, it's lead-free, and it's of course not toxic because, and now let me read, they have a ASTM certificate D4236. Okay, so let's come back to mixing the colors in your resin. So this is the dry, and it just needs a little bit. I will put it in here. I will mix the colors in a detail, closer camera view. So I will just add the pigments here, and then we're gonna change the camera. This is the gold. This is my resin pigment paste, crystal white, and just make sure when you use them, just stir a little bit before using them. You need only a little bit. And the third color, because our pigments, even, you know, the resin pigments, the OMG sets, the glitters, and what else will come in future, you can always mix them together. They are great together. So here, I'm gonna use my malachite green. Again, the resin pigment paste. Make sure you just stir them. You don't need a lot. And because I want to get a darker effect of the color, this is the black, the metallic black from the Minerals OMG set. Just a little bit, maybe it was too much. Just a little bit of black. Good. So now let's flip the camera and watch me pour. Okay, so this is the resin with the dry green. Let's mix it. Look at this color. But maybe, do you know what? I just decided to add a little bit more. I just want to get a very bright color, but using less is always like using more. Start with less color because you always can add more color. But don't over add the color, not more than between 5 and 12–30% depending on which color it is. Okay, now I'm happy. Okay, great. Let's keep on going with the mixture between my malachite and the black. I love to use plastic caps, transparent ones. Point 1, you can reuse them, and point 2, you can see if the color is good mixed or not. Okay, great. Let's mix the gold. Look at this gold. And the white. Please stir properly, mix well. Don't forget any edges. Okay. Great. So now my colors are ready and I can just start pouring. I will start, as I told you, with the main color. It's my dark green. And here, you can't do anything wrong. Just be one with your little artworks. Be careful with the drips. I do the big one like the same. Okay. Then I will add the darker malachite. And here it depends up to, no, it's totally up to you if you are pouring next to it or over it. So feel free, be creative, just pour your soul out. Okay, so what I will do now, I will just use the rest of the resin here just to fill it up because I really want to see some gold. Okay, and now we are using the heat gun, and you will see that the bubbles on top of the surface will disappear. If you use a Steinel heat gun, just get rid of the bubbles with 6 here and 2, you know, there are 3 steps. Please do the step 2. So I did this, that the resin is heat, you know, where it has the same temperature. And then I just started to flip it a little bit. And I just want to add my highlights to it and play around with it a little bit. just have to get new gloves. So again, I will fly over with the heat gun. Can you see it? What happens? There are cells popping up, and this is like magic. This is because you are using, or I use, different weights of pigments, like my malachite paste, the dry pigment paste, the heavy crystal white. Okay, so let's do the same with the small one. Heat it up. Just turn it a little bit. Okay, then I'm gonna use my white. The gold. Make sure before you use it, the colors, just stir a little bit before using it. So I have clean hands, so I can grab it. Okay, so it's twisting and turning time. This makes so much fun, girls and boys. And let it rest. Get rid of the bubbles. Okay. So, we let it rest. Look at the big one, what happened already. It changes time by time. So, please take your time, let your piece rest, and yeah. We are done with the trays, and I hope you enjoyed it. So, a few more things to tell you. These trays have to dry between 12 and 24 hours until you can really move them. And do me a favor and cover them. You can use a carton, you can use a paper, you can use a box, whatever you have, but cover them that no dust and hairs are flying into it and lying on the surface. I have to get something small for this baby. Oh no. Done. So, you might ask what to do with the rest of the resin, and here are my two little helpers. These are pyramid molds, and as you can see, I already started to pour the leftovers in it. So I will use my leftovers for the molds, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, you can purchase my product in my online shop.